Good morning. This is John from the Springs Mennonite Church. I'm happy to be with you today here, start of another new week. I hope you had a really great weekend. And I hope that this week you're looking forward to the blessings of the Lord in ways you haven't seen before. He's always doing something new. And He's going to do something new in your life too. This week, I'd like to talk to you about an idea called grace. Now, I don't mean the name, nor do I mean that what you say it before a meal if you do that. I'm talking about the idea itself of grace. So let's look at this in two places to start with today, in Titus and in Romans. So let me start with Titus chapter 2, verse 11. For the grace of God has been revealed, bringing salvation to all people. The grace of God has been revealed. What does grace mean? Well, if you look it up in the dictionary, if you think about it from a Bible standpoint, grace is simply unmerited favor. Now, let's look at that. Unmerited means it's not earned. There's nothing you did to get it. It's just a special something that's given as a gift. And favor, what does favor mean? Well, it means being blessed, being on the receiving end of good things. So grace being unmerited favor means that you are on the receiving end of something that's really good that you didn't earn. That's pretty simple. And this passage then becomes simple. For the grace of God has been revealed. God is the one who's giving the grace. Now, you could ask the question, why does he do that? And my response to you is, well, I don't really know. I mean, I don't think I could do that. Not to everybody, for all time, for everything. I mean, there's got to be something about God's character that is far superior to anything I can dream of. I can't imagine him giving grace to everybody. And it says it's been revealed, meaning it was there before, just didn't see it. It's not something new. The grace of God has always been there. But in the person of Jesus, it gets revealed in a different way, more complete way, a fuller way. And it says, bringing salvation to all people. Well, what is salvation? Well, let's go to Romans and we look at chapter 6 and verse 14. And it says, sin is no longer your master, for you no longer live under the requirements of the law. Instead, you live under the freedom of God's grace. Here we go again. So, what is the grace given for? For our freedom, for our salvation. Well, what are we being saved from? Some people say, I haven't done all that much bad. What do I need salvation for? Well, have you done anything bad? I bet you if you were a 2-year-old, you kind of stomped your feet every once in a while. Now, maybe we can say, oh, that's just a 2-year-old, but isn't it the same basic thing that adults do when they cheat to get their way? You see, that part of us that stomps our feet when we're really little is always with us. We can't get rid of it on our own. We can try and try and try and try, and invariably something will happen, and that old stomping your feet stuff is going to show up again. So there has to be another way. Well, according to the Old Testament, the way was following the law. But the law was so pervasive, you couldn't follow it. And in Romans, Paul tells us that God gave us the law to show that you couldn't live that way. That wouldn't work. Well, so many people today are still trying to be Old Testament folks, thinking they can follow the rules and everything will be okay. My mom used to say, as long as you don't do any of the big things, you'll be okay. Well, no. As long as you don't do the big things, that's great, but you still can't do the little things either. See, there's no room here for mistakes. And you and I make them. And we do it all the time. So the passage says here that the law was overcome. And overcome by what? Overcome by God's grace. So sin, which is nothing more than going against God, going against God's ways in thought, action, whatever. Sin makes it so we can't live a godly life on our own. And the only option is for God's grace, his unmerited favor, to cover over and overcome our sin. Grace is something that God offers to everyone who's willing to offer themselves for it. You can't go out and find a magic pill. The only solution is to put yourself in subservience to the will of God in all that you do. I know, that's hard. And when we mess up, God's grace is there so we can start again. Now, if we mess up intentionally thinking, well, I get forgiven, so it doesn't matter, that doesn't count. I've known some people who thought that way. But if we mess up, okay, God's unmerited favor is still available for you at any moment. Now think about your life. What part of your life needs God's grace? Now I phrase it that way, meaning that yes, you need it, but maybe you're really good in some areas, but you're really not so good in others. And God's grace covers all of that and removes our sin and brings to us, as Titus says, salvation. Well, that's what I'm going to talk about this week, the grace of God. And I hope you'll be with me and think about some things. I hope I've stimulated you a little bit right now. I hope that God will reveal himself in a really special way over the next few days. So thanks so much for listening. If you have a concern or need, let us know. We'll do everything we can as fast as we can to help meet your need. Until later, till tomorrow, actually, God bless you. I'll talk to you again.